Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for episode 12 of Fukigen Mononokean Tsuzuki, or the second season of Fukigen Mononokean, or the Morose Mononokean. But yeah, this is the penultimate episode. I didn't know last week if there were going to be 12 or 13 episodes. This one makes a lot more sense as the penultimate episode, and it was great. It was amazing. I came into this series, at the very beginning, I was like, season 1's maybe like a 7 out of 10, but I personally enjoyed it, even though it was just alright. It was good, but I personally really, really liked it. But season 2 has just been great. I have been more absorbed in this story than anything else I've been watching this season. And yeah, the animation continued to just be sort of normal. It's not bad. It's not like out of the ordinary good, though. It's just good. But the art style, I really, really like. The OST is great. And the story has been so good. And this episode did an amazing job of just feeling like there was just so much content. We got so many different scenes and so many things going on, and all of them were really, really good. The entire time I was sucked into what was going on. And I've always said that the show's strength, or the series' strength, is the little sort of one-off stories with the various yokai, and that's still the truth, but I think what sets Fukigen Mononokean apart from all these other series that have kind of similar styles of the story is that not only is it telling these really good slice-of-life episodic stories, but in addition to that, the main story that's going on kind of in the background and then sort of melds into the foreground like it's doing here. The main story's really, really good too, in addition to the side stories being, or the episodic stories being the strength of it. So, yeah, I don't know. It's been quite amazing, but let's talk about the episode as a whole part by part. Let's break this down a bit. So we start off with a small recap of the last scene of last episode to let us basically know the premise of what's going to be going on this episode. Because they were talking about needing to get those files, and the only way to do it is to break into the White Sand prison. So that kind of led us into being like, okay, that's what this episode is going to mainly be about, though we ended up getting a lot more than just that. So I like that we finally get to see the underworld town again. We saw it a lot last season, and I really enjoyed it, and the characters we saw there, mainly just Kora and Shizuku, but I like that we got to see it again. We got to see Kora and Shizuku again, because it was one of my favorite locations and two of my favorite characters from the first season, and we haven't seen them much in the second season, so I like that we finally get to see him a bit here. Best girl Kora got plenty of lines, so I was very, very happy this episode. Now, Haruitsuki accompanies her to the White Sand prison and goes searching around a bit. The thing is, though, I felt like Justice isn't that bad a guy. Like, I've said this before, Justice doesn't seem like that bad a person, and it feels like if they wanted to, they could probably just ask for his help or anything like that. But especially in this sort of situation where knowing that information could be important to the Mononokean doing its job, which we know is a very important job, kind of bridging the gap between human and yokai worlds in a way. I feel like because of that and because of how important their job is and how it could affect their job, if Haruitsuki needed these files, he could probably just ask and get them. I don't really see a reason why they would need to withhold these files from him because of the importance of them. These unicorn goat things, though, I love how cute the voices of them were. They were adorable. The executive turns out is there, so Haruitsuki, once he finds the record, is like, okay, change of plans, didn't expect to be stealing this, but it looks like I'm stealing this now. Zenko tells Hanai about this yokai at a shrine, and I love the way that it's kind of like their normal side story thing, but the way this individual yokai story is playing so well into the main story, and how it was sort of interspersed throughout the episode. So she tells him about it there. Yaiko then spills the beans to Hanai about the other day and what he showed Haruitsuki, because Yaiko doesn't know to keep that a secret. I mean, why would he need to keep that a secret? Like, it seems weird even. I like that it seems weird that Haruitsuki wouldn't tell Hanai about this stuff, but at the same time, you can totally get why he isn't. because if he doesn't know the full story of what's going on, he doesn't know if Hanai's dad was a bad person or not. Until he figures that out, he probably shouldn't let Hanai in on this, because, I mean, A, Hanai is not going to be able to be objective about it, but B, what if they find out something terrible that would really hurt Hanai? Now, it might just be too early to be completely open and honest with him, so I totally get where Haruitsuki's coming from. Now, I personally like when characters are completely honest with one another if they're on the same side of things, but I totally get why Haruitsuki would keep this a secret. Now, I don't know if this is going to be important at all or not, but Shizuku sees the record as it's sort of hanging out of Haruitsuki's clothing, and of course, Koda jokes around about him being flustered, so we don't know how much she knows or not. But at the same time, I don't know if it's going to be important that Shizuku saw it, or if that was just to show us that Haruitsuki's being flustered about what he's doing. So from there, we have Hanai bribing Yahiko to try to get him to transform as well. The sister calls and checks in on Hanai because the mom, when leaving the hospital, mentioned the father, and it's really the first time she's ever said anything about him in front of her. So I loved that scene, and the OST for it was so great. The OST for that phone call scene was so good. From there, we learned that Haruitsuki gave the records he took to Rippo, which I think is really cool. I like the legislator and the way he's been playing a really good guy role this season, so I like that a lot. From there, he won't talk about what he's doing or what's going on with Hanai, which I already brought up. I totally get why that's the way he's handling this. We then meet Bonta, and I think Bonta's adorable. From there, there's this mystery yokai that's talking, but we find a little bit more of it later on. But just for a moment, Haruitsuki notices it, but he doesn't notice what it is or who it is or anything. From there, we actually get to see, we get to see Rippo reading the record, and we see the spider monster there. So that was really cool. Then the dad, what's her name? Zenko's dad. Zenko's dad mentions that it was said to be some sort of spider monster with a red eye, and that's when she realizes that's odd, because Hanai told me that it was some sort of harmless pig yokai. So I like that she's going to probably be able to play a role being like, that's not what I heard it was. From there, in my notes, as soon as we heard about it being the big spider monster and everything, I have a bullet point in my notes that says, I hope Bonta's alright, and then the bullet point directly after it is in all caps, no Bonta, with a bunch of exclamation points. So Bonta gets something that happens to them via the spider. Do we see it at the end of the episode? I can't tell if we see it at the end of the episode, or if it was in the preview for next episode, but it looks like the spider monster can sort of mind control people, or maybe possess people. I'm not sure which of the two it is, whether it's possession or mind control, because possession would make you think only one at a time, but mind control could be multiple at a time. But either way, it seems that Bonta has been taken over. Now hopefully that's not permanent, and they can just sort of save them by exorcising this other yokai, or I don't know, maybe the other yokai just leaves Bonta. From there, we see the monster seemingly sealed in a shrine, and they're asking for help, so it doesn't seem like they're totally fully evil. And we learn from a flashback to Haruitsuki reading the record that one of the issues with Sakai is that they committed the taboo of banishing a yokai. And we had heard that he killed yokai using his presence, so I'm assuming killing a yokai using your presence is probably what banishing means. And from there, Hanai, when they go searching for Bonta, tries to warn Haruitsuki about something, but his warning gets cut off. So that's where we end the episode. The main plot is so interesting and so good. The story going on with Bonta and with the spider monster I think is going to tie directly into the main plot. I think it's going to have something to do with Sakai, and it's just so interesting and so good. I love the series. The OST is great. Like I said, it felt like we just got so much content in this episode. So I loved everything about it. Some of the things I think that might happen, this, whatever is sealed away, maybe it is the spider monster, maybe the spider monster is working with whatever sealed away. I think it'll be unsealed, or at least the threat of it being unsealed will be there. And I'm not sure. I think it's going to have something to do with Sakai. Maybe Sakai is the one who, like, sealed it there or something? No idea. Another thing we haven't figured out, though, is how Sakai had gold hair and eyes like Haruitsuki, and yet when we saw Yaiko transform into him, they looked like an older version of Hanai, or a slightly different father-ish version of Hanai. So if that's the case, we don't know what changed the hair and eye color. Maybe that has something to do with the possession or whatever sealed away. Maybe it was framing Sakai, or maybe Sakai was a good person, but this yokai that possessed them and then had them kill or banish a yokai, and so that's why Sakai got in trouble, or why they're considered a murderer or whatever. It wasn't really them murdering them, they were just taken over by this spider yokai, and they made them do it. Maybe that's it. I have no idea. But it's really, really, really interesting and cool. So, yeah, that's it. I'd give this a super high score. I'd give it 9.5, I don't know, spider monsters out of 10. 9 out of 10 because there's so much content, there's so much to talk about, really, or to wonder about what's going on. The main story's so good, the side stories are so good. Everything about this episode was great. Like I said, the animation isn't bad at all. It's good. It's nothing super special, but it's good. The art style is good. I especially loved the underworld art style, and we got to see a bit more of that this time, and the OST was amazing. And not only did we get like a few good stories, we got a lot of really interesting things. Haruitsuki sneaking around the place was interesting. The stuff with Kora and Shizuku, the stuff with Rippo reading the report, all of that was interesting. The stuff with Bonta and the spiders really interesting. And I think the best scene, or possibly my favorite scene, was the scene with Hanai and the sister talking on the phone, and we get the flashback there and stuff. So, yeah, all of that was great. 9.5 out of 10. I absolutely loved this episode. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be excited to do the finale review because it looks like it's going to be really, really good. So I'll be excited for that, and I have fallen in love with the series now. I mean, I loved it after season 1, but season 2 has just been so good. So I'm really excited, and I hope we get a season 3 because of that. So, yeah, I loved it, and I hope you did too. If you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this episode, or what you thought of my thoughts on it, or anything like that. Subscribe for more. Fukigen and Mononokean, and much more on the channel. So I'm going to be making a video soon, probably Wednesday-ish, where I talk about the anime coming up for next season. I have no idea what I'm going to review weekly yet. Nothing really specifically standing out. So if you have any suggestions on what you want me to watch or review, you can tell me here, or you can watch that video and tell me in the comments there. In addition to that, if you want to, you can follow on Twitter, and I can keep you updated there on stuff for the channel, or I can talk to you there if you want. And if you want to talk to me or more of us about this series or anything else on Discord, just ask and I can give you a link to the Discord server. It's open for anyone. So that's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.